Hi, how's it going? Welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to answer the question that I've received recently a couple times from a couple different people. One of them at the 10X Growth Conference down in Vegas, and another friend of mine inquiring about starting a podcast. They want to start a podcast, and I said, hey, I'll tell you what my experience has been. I'm going to share with you the pros and the cons and then let you decide. And I'm also going to share with you what I would do in lieu of starting a podcast. So if you're interested in that, I think you're going to get a lot of value out of this video. Let me just give you the background. You know, I'm 139 episodes into enhancing the human experience, just over 2.5 years. It's been a weekly podcast up until probably episode 135 or 136, but now I've moved it to a monthly podcast, and maybe that's going to tell you something right there. But that gives you the background. I mean, it's called Enhancing the Human Experience. It's on my YouTube channel if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can find it on any of your favorite podcast players. You can go check it out, see what it is. But when people ask me, I tell them the pros and the cons. I say, look, it's a great, easy way to create content. The barrier to entry is really low, especially if you host your podcast on Anchor FM, which I don't recommend you do that, or maybe Shout Me Loud. I think that's what it is. There's some places out there that will get you a podcast probably within an hour, right? You could launch a podcast in an hour. But be very careful if you do that, because you do not own your feed, your podcast feed, your RSS feed, if you do that. I personally host mine through Blueberry. I love them to death. There's about 3 or 4, maybe 5 major podcasts hosts that are the big players. I consider the professional players. Those being, Podbean, Blueberry, Libsyn, SoundCloud, maybe-ish. There's maybe a couple more that I can't remember right now, but you can Google major podcast hosts. But I tell people, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. Make sure that you love it. That's a given, right, with anything you're going to do in life. If you're just doing it for a result of, say, to grow your business or to, create a marketing channel, there's a high probability that you may quit when it gets difficult or sucks or when you run out of things to say. Believe me, those times will happen no matter what you do, whether you want to create videos or podcasts or whatever. So if you love it, go for it. If it's something that you're really passionate about, interviewing people, hosting them on your show, sharing their message, giving them a platform to share their message, then by all means, it's an awesome way to do that. What I tell people is, hey, if you're just looking to create content, you're going to get so much more traction and so much more eyeballs on your stuff and ears on your stuff if you create YouTube videos. Now, as a little caveat here, the main reason that I started a podcast, there was 2 reasons. One, I always wanted an interview show from way back. I love talking to people. I love, quote, interviewing them, hosting them, and hearing them tell their story. I love that. I've always wanted that. So a podcast was a natural fit for me. But the other reason I started a podcast first, before I jumped into YouTube, in a significant way, was because I was afraid of video. Straight up, I was very apprehensive to make videos. It was just very scary, very daunting. And I was baby stepping in when I launched the podcast. Podcast is safe, right? All you have to do is sit behind the mic and talk. That's easier than making a video, right? And putting it out into the world, because there's a layer of protection between you and the audience. They can't see you, right? I find that when I make podcasts, more often than not, if I'm making a solo show, I'm very free with what I'm saying, right? As free as I am getting in videos now, but this was not the case when I first started. And so for me, it was a way to baby step into content creation. Now, like I said, I've moved that podcast, Enhancing the Human Experience, to a monthly publication, a monthly post, because it wasn't getting the traction that I wanted for the podcast. And when I mean traction, it wasn't getting the views or the listens that I wanted for the podcast for either myself or my guests, right? I want to give them an awesome platform with lots of people listening so they can spread their message. Now, having said that, some of the episodes got a lot of traction, right? Some of my top episodes were or are when I interviewed Joshua, forget his name at the moment, and I should remember this. He is part of the Heartfulness Way. He co-wrote the Heartfulness Way with, and again, I forget the gentleman's name, but it's a meditation practice, right? And that episode did very well. The episode where I hosted Kelly Jean Badgley, and she talked about the Nichiren Buddhism, that episode did very well. There's a number of episodes that have done very well, but none of them do as well as videos. If it's just me posting an episode on the podcast and it's a solo episode talking about any number of things, it could be even a popular topic, it gets 5 times less views on YouTube as a YouTube video does. People are just more into watching videos. And maybe I want to ask you this. Do you listen to podcasts, right? I have some people that, ask about podcasts and they don't really listen to podcasts themselves. And that's an indicator that maybe they should go to video. I know that whenever I want to find content to either solve a problem or entertain myself, I never inherently go to podcasts. Maybe a small percentage of the time, maybe 5% of the time, I always go on YouTube. Even if I'm just listening to the audio and having it play in the background, I'm always on YouTube. YouTube's the second biggest search engine in the world. That's the place you've got to be if you want to make an impact. And for my suggestion to you, hopefully this is being helpful to you, is if you want to create content, I would go all in on YouTube before I would go all in on a podcast. Now, if you have your heart set on a podcast and you want to do it, go for it, because that matters. That absolutely matters. Like, I'm never going to stop the podcast, right? I'm never going to stop it. I love it to death. I shouldn't say never, but I have no plans to stop the podcast because, again, it's heart-based, right? I love that. It was my first major series or major show that I put out, and even though I'm launching other series on YouTube, including this On the Move and other things that are in the pipeline, I don't ever want to stop the podcast because it's a labor of love, right? But you're going to get much more bang for your buck if you invest in YouTube and get over that fear hurdle. And I realize that's easier said than done. Excuse me. I realize that's sometimes easier said than done. So that's my recommendation to you. Now, I know there are a lot of people in the world that are all in on podcasts. The one that comes to mind is Gary Vaynerchuk. He said, I think it was last year, that he feels audio is the next big thing. You know what? I love that guy, but I could not disagree more. The reason is video is so much more engaging and entertaining. I mean, we are a society that needs and wants the next big thing, big production, epic everything, right? Audio just doesn't give you that. You miss out on video. You miss out on the visual portion. And I got to tell you, if you put 100 people and they had to choose whether they wanted to watch a video or listen to an audio, regardless of how cool that audio is, I guarantee you they're always going to go for the video. Most people are going to go for that video. So that's my suggestion to you. I hope that's helpful because, like I said, I want you to get the biggest bang for your buck in your content creation strategy. And I think video is the way to do it. I apologize, this video is going to get a little bit dark right here because I'm going in the parking garage, but I hope that's been helpful. If you have a specific question about creating a podcast, reach out to me in the comment section below. I'm happy to share what I know because I want you to be able to spread your message in the best possible way. And so if you need that, have a specific question, I'm more than happy to help you. So just let me know and I will give you that information. So let's wrap up the video there. Until next time, I wish you all the best health, wealth, and success on your journey. And thanks so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. I always talk about ways that you can be a more conscious creator, the tools, the inner and the outer work, because there's a lot of channels, and I watch a lot of channels that focus a lot on the inner game, and I get a lot out of that. But what I love to do is talk about the whole spectrum, the inner game and the outer game, specifically the processes and systems and tools that you need to put into place in your business to have the massive success that you want. And these are things that I use in my own business all the time. Currently, if you want to pick up tools for conscious creators, which has a lot of these tools in it, you can do that by subscribing to my mailing list at gmarkphillips.com. And pick that up there when you subscribe. So that's the video. Thanks for watching. Please give it a thumbs up if you like it. And until next time, all the best. Health, wealth, and success. Bye-bye.